Yo, 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 what's going on? It's your boy Sebastian Ryder, and you tapped into another episode of Cut Different TV. And before I introduce you to our guest today, we got a very special guest in the building. We trying to jazz things up on Cut Different and introduce y'all to some other creatives that are taking over in other industries as well. We just covered this guy's event out in Connecticut. He went crazy. Make sure you subscribe, man. Click that big red button under whatever screen you watching this on, and hopefully it's a TV screen because they tapped in with Cut Different TV, so it's only right. Man, we got Strizz in the building. Strizz, welcome to Cut Different TV, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, it's a long time in the making, I feel.
No, it definitely has been a minute. We could have locked in a while ago, but God's timing, we here.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of God's timing, I don't want to get too far ahead, but shit, tell us a little bit. I guess this will be the best time to tell us, you know what I'm saying, about your collection and about what you got for the people.
So about God's timing, that's not only my brand, but that's also what I'm wearing right now. This is one of my new drops for the spring. It's a little cowhide jacket, satin line on the inside, but we just dropped this for my previous show, which we just recapped. But yeah, I feel like this new series of fashion that I'm about to go crazy with is just all about fabrics, fashion, and just being fly.
Fire. And all of those elements are within the realm of creativity. You meet a creative, and you can always tell a creative. Yeah. Even in the workplace, even in like a more buttoned-up establishment, you can look at somebody and know, okay, this person does something different.
Yeah.
And with you, you wear so many different hats. Obviously, fashion is kind of that umbrella, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to express yourself through that. Talk a little bit more about the foundation of creativity. What made you want to get into fashion, and how have you evolved into other things?
I think, well, you said it best, like fashion's like the umbrella, but I'm a little bit backwards because I look at fashion as like the handle to the umbrella, whereas I feel like fashion is the safe space to every other avenue. You know, like there's no athlete, there's no singer, there's no lawyer, there's no doctor that doesn't care about their appearance. So it all starts somewhere in the middle. And I think that for me, that allows me to kind of go into different avenues. Like, of course, I make music for fun, but like I'm trying to also pursue that. I make clothes, I also style things, and I also curate events now. So it's like being able to go into every single one of those spaces and still be in church and still maintain my core values, because fashion's kind of like in that centerfold, you know? I think that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And when did you, I guess, like you just made a really good point. It's like no matter who you're talking to, everybody cares about the look. Mm-hmm. Everybody, I mean, they're going to have, and even if they're not really representing it, they're aware of how they're representing themselves, and fashion and clothes and apparel and accessories is the easiest way to do that, because it's kind of like the avatar piece.
Literally.
When did you know? Was it at a young age when you were like, all right, this is something that I express myself with, now I can help other people? Like, what was that?
I think that in the beginning, it wasn't even that I like did it to want to help people. It was that I didn't even notice so many people cared about going into fashion, more so than I had to live with the fact that people critique me for mine. You know, like I feel like the stuff that I was wearing wasn't on trend, or it wasn't the flyest, or it wasn't designer, or it wasn't Jordans when everybody had them. Like I had Griffies when everybody else had foam posits, and I had foam posits when everybody else was on J's. So it's like I was always like slightly behind trend, just trying to like catch up. I didn't really care for it in the moment, but it was like, oh shoot, like yo, you're not wearing this, so you must not be rich. You're not wearing this, so you must be poor. You're not wearing this, so you a cornball. Like it was all those things that were always like thrown factors, but it was like by the time I cared about it, it was in the aftermath of being critiqued for not having something. So then it was like in that realm, it was like, oh, you know what, like maybe I do care a little bit about fashion, but like not enough to be on trend, but just enough to like it for myself. So then at that point, it started to come into like that, oh, like it's really my grandmother's fault. She never wanted me to wear ripped jeans, so she never bought me ripped jeans. And then one day I fell playing football on lunch and ripped my jeans, and I was like, yo, I got a pair of ripped jeans because it came out clean. So I'm sitting here like in class pulling the phrase out, And I got my first pair of ripped jeans, but I knew I couldn't go home with them. So I went home in my gym shorts that day and left my jeans in my locker. So that started the once a week I could wear those jeans. I'm like, oh, wait, I got to bring these home to wash them at least once. So but I couldn't wash them at my grandma's house because she got to know I got ripped jeans. Brought them home, thought I was slick. She said, oh, I brought your clothes up. I can't believe you ripped one of your pairs of jeans. Go shopping and get you some new jeans. So she threw my jeans out. I didn't know. So now I had to go get new jeans, and now I started cutting those too. And then it became like yo, I'm not about to keep spending money on jeans you're going to keep ripping up. I'm not paying for less denim. So then I said, okay, well, stop paying for my clothes. And, like, that was the thing that shot me in the foot. I should have never said that one. But so then in that, like, foot space, I started shopping in different places. That was when, like, Track 23 had first came out. And I was like, oh, this is cheap. I can cut these jeans up and nobody would know they're from this cheap spot. And then after that, somebody noticed. I'm like, all right, I got to make this a little bit less noticeable. So let me go get a pair of old Levi's and start cutting those. So it really just came into the how can I adjust what I'm wearing to fit in at a noticeable budget that my family is okay with spending. Because once they realize what I'm really doing with the clothes they're paying good money for, they're not going to keep spending good money on it, you know? So until I started making, like, my own money doing side stuff in high school, I had to work with what I had. So I was customizing everything I had, cutting it up, doing what I had to do until it became okay because it was my money, you know?
I rock with that. And then from there, you just started to think about different ways. Wow, like, I can take this piece that might otherwise be standard to someone else and make it my own. Shit, what if I could do that for other people? Or what if I could do that myself and create a collection around it, create an offer?
I think I was a little too shook to even think about a collection, but I always had this issue of proving a point. So I had this teacher he was like a marketing teacher. He was like, yo, if you want to, like, push forward anything in my business class or my entrepreneurship class, you have to start a business. And, like, you couldn't sell candy in school. You couldn't do anything else that was sports, like, and recreations covered. So, like, you couldn't fundraise unless you played a sport, but I didn't. So I was like, you trying to tell me I can't make money and I can't start a business? That's legal. So I, like, did everything to sell candy under the table. So I was paying the valedictorians, renting out lockers, selling candy out of there. I was gambling and flipping candy money, then making that bigger, and then going back and then putting it into candy stuff again. Then when he said, like, yo, you're making a lot of money, and, like, we know where it's coming from, even though he can't acknowledge I was making this money, it was like, you got to do something legal because I can't pass your capstone off of something you're legally not supposed to be doing in school. So he said, why don't you just flip some clothes because you're already cutting people's jeans anyway. So I'm like, oh, I could do that. But I was like, wait, I can't flip somebody else's pants. So I went online and I found this grant for, I think it was for, like, a band or, like, $900, something like that after taxes. And it was for you to start your own business. So I did that, flipped some T-shirts online, and sold them. But it was one of the same designs that I had already drawn on my notebook. So I'm like, yo, shoot, like, I can actually do this. And then at that point, it became, I made a lineup of hoodies with that same design, and they were, like, selling on some, like, little dropship website. But it was more so just me pushing my name out. I was selling stuff for, like, $5 profit per hoodie. Like, if it was $30 to make it, I was selling it for $35. So whereas now it's like, I could sell this jacket for $500 because it's like I've built the name enough that, like, okay, he wears high-end fashion. This has to be something worth buying, you know? But when I first started, I was still wearing small times. I was still wearing, like, Levi's and Jordans. It wasn't bad. But, like, you're not going to go spend $500 on a jacket from some freshman in college who's still wearing $200 worth of clothes, you know? So to some degree, I chose the route of, instead of going straight into collections, I went straight into being a fashion guy. So I went to trying to be one of the biggest fashion wearers, I guess you could say, in my city before I became a designer. You know what I mean?
And so I appreciate you telling us that story. That's fine. Hopefully that's enough to make you subscribe, hit that like button, drop comments down below. You inspiring. And so the fashion is, like you said, that's the handle to the umbrella. Let's talk about the umbrella a little bit. Let's get into the events. Let's get into all of the different other avenues that you're adding value to other people. And I guess you could probably paint that picture better than anybody else. Explain what that umbrella is if fashion is just the handle.
The umbrella to me right now is what's allowing me to float over my city and go back and forth to other people's towns too. Whereas now it's not just, okay, I'm putting on fashion shows. Oh, he has a brand that can let 3 people model per photo shoot. Like, I think what the umbrella is allowing me to tap into is it's allowing me to separate my time from just being the guy who sits at the crib and works a regular 9 to 5. I stopped doing that. I'm not a manager at my boutique that I used to work at before. Right now, I full-time create, and I go from my place to let's go find a venue. Okay, let's find a venue. This is a big venue. I got to pack it out. So in that space, it's like, how many jobs can I create in one day for that one day? So it's like, okay, if I want media there, I need at least 15 press passes pushed out to photographers who I might not even like their photo work, but in order for me to get you practice, instead of you saying, hey, I want to shoot you or do some model work with you, come to my fashion show. I can get you in one space with a lot of people and a lot of content in one time period where everybody has the option to choose. It's like, whoever shot best, shot best. So I then came up with an idea to not only market different photographers, but now it's like, okay, wait, I want interviews. I want Cut Different to come pull up. I want you guys to come from where you're at to come see that my city has something to offer, even you guys. And then it's like, okay, wait, I need a host. I can't just sit there and talk for myself. That'll take away from my dramatic entrance at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So now it's like, let me find a guy who's funny, but he's also serious enough to be that middle ground where he could be in his 30s or 40s, but he'll keep the younger generation calm and he'll keep the older generation happy because that older generation is the one who I really want to spend money at the end of the night. So it's like, if they're satisfied, I'm satisfied. The kids are going to be fine with just 2 TikTok reels and that's it. It's like, we're cool. We got content off. At least I showed I was there. And then as far as the models go, it's like, yo, let me give you guys a platform to not only just be the fly guy on Instagram that posted his first fit and some Rick Owens and the girl who posted a bikini picture. It's like, yo, wait, hold on. You guys both have potential, so let's put you guys in the same room, put you guys in clothes you would never wear on a regular day, and then send you down a runway where you guys can't complain about it because it's a fashion show. And now afterwards, you're like, oh, wait, I want to throw this event now. So now it's like you're sparking friendships. You're sparking new networking opportunities where the people are collaborating with their businesses. It's like, oh, shoot, you rap? Oh, shoot, I sing. Like, there's people who are doing stuff together now. Oh, shoot, you do nails? You do hair? Oh, let's make content together. But it's all because they were forced to be in the same room. So that's what I mean, like, the fashion umbrella. My handle of being Style Strizz has now become the guy who's the middleman for new networks, And then having brands fly into Connecticut, like Delinquents Truly, like they're a famous anime brand that flew in, went through a whole bunch of travel scrabbles, and came through to give me a great experience with their show. Like, their collection, to me, personally, is probably styled the best. Like, their team, immaculate.
That's
and
fire.
you got people who, like Mr. Afame, he drove up from South Carolina. So it's like knowing that, like, people heard me talk and quick content, like quick conversation on the sidewalk during New York Fashion Week last year, and they spent money to come up here to come put on for Connecticut, which is a place where we shouldn't have any fashion because we're so close to New York. But I think that's all because of that umbrella handle. Is like, being okay with being in the center of everything, but also not being the guy who has to be in charge. Like, I'm in charge, but, like, I have no problem taking that step back to letting other people feel like they're in charge, because that's where they really develop their confidence to throw their own events.
And so that sounds like a lot, you know what I'm saying? And we got, between Vic and myself and everybody that's involved, what we got going on, it's a lot too. And I think the great thing about people like us is that we're able to somehow, some way, find a way to balance it all. You know what I'm saying? But my question for you and all that, maybe for somebody that's watching this right now, and especially with your faith, through all of the chaos, right? How do you stay grounded? How do you establish a foundation for stability?
I think, honestly, that's a question that you kind of worded it perfectly. Because, like you said, like, how did I establish a foundation? But, like, it's also through the faith part. So it's easy to establish a fashion foundation or a extra foundation in patience and grace towards the people that I'm working with. Because, like, you work with so many egos in this field that it's, like, hard to just sit here and be like, oh, shoot, I want to work with this artist. Like, I'm on the phone with, like, Capella Gray's, like, booking manager, like, yo, I think I want you to come perform in my show. And it's like, yo, okay, cool. I'm figuring this out. And I had to sit back. I'm like, yo, wait, like, when did I go from being a listener to the person who's booking the artist, you know? And like trying to figure that stuff out. And it was like, okay, somewhere along the lines, you got to realize if you build your foundation in the clout that you just came into, you'll lose it because you're basing it off of the accolades you have right in front of you. And like if I base it off of every phone call, every influencer I talk to, the second we're not talking, I have nothing. So like you said, like the faith part, that was my foundation and it still is. So like my walk with God is my foundation enough that no matter who I talk to after I talk to God, that's not going to affect my worth or what I do at the end of the day. So like if God said like, yo, I gave you this amount of talent to do this, keep me first, and you can do it, I'm going to do it. And if that means, okay, call this guy, call that guy, he declines, he picks up, he declines, he picks up. He declines, he declines, he declines. Oh, this guy you didn't really want to talk to picks up. Are you going to have less faith in God? Are you going to have less faith in your idea? Are you going to have less faith in what's in front of you? And that's the question you really got to ask yourself. But when you have a foundation in faith, not in the fundamentals of posting pictures or what that looks like, photos can be edited. Faith can't, you know? And I think that's where I found my foundation.
Photos can be edited. Faith can't. That's hard. I like that.
Yeah.
So faith is the foundation.
Faith is the foundation. I feel like it should be for everything. And I think that's where a lot of times you see a lot of people get lost is because they start with the faith, but they start with their faith in their lives, not as their foundation. So it's like when something goes left, the first thing you put to the side is faith. The first thing you put to the side or the first person you blame is God. And one person who's technically not even the person you called. Like you go call Drake and he don't pick up your phone call. You mad at everybody else except for Drake because your foundation wasn't in faith. It was in what you thought you could do. And when you couldn't do it, you had nothing to cling to.
Damn. That's powerful, man. I'm going to let that breathe. I want to know, man, like, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, or we could talk specifically about the event. You spoke about the inner workings and like the ideology that went into putting it all together. Explain, you know, one, tell them a little bit about the event. And two, what does it feel like to have that success? You've thrown a big show like that before, a fashion show, but this one was one where, you know, it felt like, okay, this is big. Going from step 1 to step 2 and that being such a huge leap, how does that feel? And does that add stress, or do you just feel more in line with that person that you're becoming?
I think it's like that moment where like you're in like a cartoon, like it feels fake. Like it's like you ever watch like a storyline go through on like a cartoon movie and like you see so much adversity, but like in the back of your head you're like, oh, this is a cartoon. Like nothing bad can really happen because it's not real. I think that's like the happy medium that I'm stuck in where like it feels like it's not real because it's still coming together. Like, yeah, it's stressful, but like you don't really feel the stress until it's like already too late for you to drop out. And it's like at that point you got to see it through, and then right when it's done it's like, oh, breath of fresh air, like I can relax for 2 seconds, and then it's like, wait, I got to plan something else now. So I think that's probably the most like awkward moment is when you got to realize like, okay, now I have to do it again, but I can't do it the same level. Like, I got to do it better. And I think from my first show, the fashion show, the Selected Part 1, like that was an amazing show, but I didn't think it was amazing until afterwards. Because it's like I'm just doing what I want to do. You know, I'm like, yo, like I want to throw a fashion show. I hate the idea of people changing clothes and having to go be stressed out trying to sit here and be like, oh, what am I wearing? What am I wearing? So, like, you're not changing. I'll just get extra models for how many models I need for the show. I got 8 brands. They each want 10. I need 80 models. Okay, cool. Y'all going to walk once. Y'all going to be assigned. Y'all got no stress at all. And then it's like, okay, I personally like to do things big. I'm like, yo, I'm like, oh, I'm popular. So, like, I feel like I'm going to pack a room out. So I don't want to throw a fashion show in, like, a 12 by 12 bedroom and just put 6 chairs on either side and say, hey, guys, this is a show. I think I can, off my name, bring at least a couple hundred. So I'm like, I have to have a venue big enough. So my homeboy had thrown a birthday party at the Omni. I'm like, okay, like I like this spot. It's big. He's like, oh, it's like 10 grand. I'm like, oh, okay, like that's a lot of money. But let me just go talk to him. He's like, yeah, but just negotiate. They can do a payment plan. I'm like, payment plan? I'm like, all right, cool. So I go through for my first show. And they were like, oh, it's like $2,500 a month. So I'm thinking like I said before, I was paying off the valedictorian trying to figure out how to spice money and candy stuff in high school. It's the same mindset. So now I'm like, okay, if I got to do $2,500 this month, all I really have to do is sell 25 VIP tickets at $100. I get that first. Now I have my general admissions. I can sell 50 of them in that second month, and that'll cover my next 2 months without $2,500. So I'm like, okay, let me just run up what I got to run up with just ticket sales because I think I can bring out at least 200. So like my 200 people will cover the balance of that 10K. And then whatever my models and my audience and the brands that I have in here, they can at least bring like 2 people each, you know, and that's a packed out room. What kind of upset me was that they didn't take it as serious on their end because they didn't really have to put any money up. Like everything was on me. So it's like, I'm in a fashion show. I'm here for the content. Not really like, oh, I'm in a fashion show. Like, let me put on for my city. You know what I'm saying? But I think that it's different because people know me for who I used to be when I used to get like picked on little kid thing. So it's like, oh, I'm just in Jaden's fashion show. That's my homeboy. So I'll just do this fashion show with him. And it's a great show. But I think that was part of the difference between the first one and this one. Was that now it's not just an idea that my friend had. Now it's, okay, it went from Jaden's throwing a show to this is Strizz's second show. And, like, once that name switch kind of went into play, it's like, okay, the respect kind of came in. And it's like, oh, shoot, like, this brand's in it, that brand's in it. Or, no, I've been in 1 or 2. I threw a show for the Black Wall Street Committee for the city of New Haven last summer, which was a lot smaller than my first show, but it meant more because it was for the city of New Haven. And it had, like, more backing to it. We were on the news. They came to my house, like a personal interview. So now it's like, okay, from my first show to now, I had subconsciously shifted my platform, my photo quality. I had put money into just taking a shoot 3 times a month to get fly, no longer on an iPhone for a whole year, just to separate myself from everybody else who says they're fly, you know? And I didn't have to do it. I could have been fly and probably had similar results without putting that much money down. But on the outside looking in, when you see how much I put in to say that I want to be set apart from everybody else who says they can do what I do, now it's when I throw my second show, you can kind of see the difference, you know? And it's like still not losing that faith and still trusting God to give me more wisdom to get it done the way that I need to without, you know, burning any bridges and just maintaining what I got to maintain. I think that was the shake factor, I guess you could say, that when you walked into this fashion show, everything was different. Like, even from the way I laid out, it's like I knew the mistakes I made the first time when I was just winging it to begin with and still did good. And now it's, okay, I'm not winging it anymore. And now I have a little bit more help. So it's like, now let's find that balance as to how we can make this the best and biggest fashion show in my city. So that now when I say I want to go throw in New York, it's not Jaden and it's not Strizz's second show. It's the Selected is its own platform. And now they're coming to New York kind of thing. So it's like it's been me dropping further and further down the umbrella, but still keeping my name at the top kind of thing. So that way now whatever event I throw, it has the experience and the love factor for people to still want to be a part of it, but still bring their A game, you know?
I love that. I love that. And I think, you know, two primary things that, well, we just gonna cut straight to this next one. You at Cut Different TV, man. I mean, you sitting here and you telling us all these things that set you apart in your mindset and your ideology and all these different pieces of the puzzle that you have to essentially kind of puppeteer or chess master and strategize. How do you put these pieces together and move things on the board? And I love that, but I still got to know, and I think everybody watching this got to know, like, coming from your words, what makes you cut different, Strizz?
You know, I feel like it doesn't get any easier. Like, I've seen you ask this question to so many artists, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like, I guess the fact that I was always the one who was cut out, that's what makes me cut different. Is that, like, everybody was like, yo, you shouldn't be doing this. Stay in your lane. Or you were the kid that we used to laugh at, so you shouldn't be bigger than us. From athletes who felt like they already had, like, high school clout, you're just a popular kid because you're just known. You just sell candy. You're like you're a nobody, or like oh like you could sing in church, but like you can't really be in the studio with the rest of us. So it's like I was always cut out of every conversation. That now I feel like they messed up in the cutting me out process because they left me with the scissors. So now it's like I can pick and choose who I want to cut out now. It's like, okay, this is my show. Oh, I'm the one who's paying for this. Or I'm the one who's still trusting God with what's little to make it bigger. And then I'm using those same scissors to make clothes. So it's like now it's like you gave me too many tools. And I feel like cutting me out or cutting anybody out just makes it easier for them to come back in the game a lot better, you know? Like, it's like coaches always sit out their star player whenever they get mad at him for 2 seconds. And the bench is waiting to be like, yeah, like, now he's trash. He's not getting back in the game. But the coach cut him out of that game so he can reevaluate and come back better. So I feel like that's what I guess makes me is that I enjoy being cut out because to some degree it hurts in the beginning. But when I realize how I can be better than who's still playing, that's what makes it so I don't get taken out again.
Damn. I ain't gonna lie. That was probably one of the best answers I've seen.
That's tough.
You know, what makes me, I was always cut out, and that's what makes me cut different. I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially creatives, because it's like, bro, at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all unique. The one thing that we have that no one else has is our avatar and our mindset and our thoughts, right? So being unique, being an individual, being yourself is standard, default. You should be. You know what I'm saying? But acknowledging the fact of, hey, this adversity, social adversity, I use that to my advantage to now get to a point where I use all that as motivation or kind of like a chip on your shoulder is something that's fire. And I think if we can perpetuate that mindset of if somebody doesn't invite you to the function, okay, cool. That's not a function you need to be at.
Right.
Don't be upset about it. Don't be upset about it. Nah. Evaluate, damn. Or maybe it's a function you feel like you need to be at, or it's a room that you need to be in. Maybe you can't get in. It's like, damn, why can I not get in? Who's there? What's going on? What are they doing? How do I take it to another level so that the next time I pull up, I don't need to wait in line?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I respect that. I respect that ideology a lot.
Yeah. I feel like, too, like, in that same space is, like, everybody in this lane, like, in our creative lane, right? Everybody, like, your sign of saying that you made it is, oh, I got in the club for free. Or, like, somebody, like, invited me to an event that, like, I've never gotten invited for, but you can still buy a ticket. So it's like, why are you waiting for an invite, you know? And it's like, for me, I'm okay with being so outside of that spectrum that I'll network on my own. You know, like, if it's a restaurant that I want to go to or if it's something like that, bro, I'll go pay to eat there on Tuesday. When I know everybody's going to be there on Friday, bro, I will go there on Tuesday. Go have the best meal of my life. I'll pay full price. I will sit here and ask for the manager to give him a compliment. I will show my face. But intentionally. So then when I go back on Friday, I'm not sitting here expecting that the event that I was already going to go to anyway, that I would have bought a ticket for on Thursday, wait, hold on. I know the owners. I came in on Tuesday, did what I had to do, and now I've networked to a point where, like, I was okay going by myself to do the groundwork for myself. I don't want nobody else's words to speak for my name. Like, I don't want you to be my access card. Like, and even to some of my people's, like, I'm like, yo, we got to look at each other to a point where, like, if we're all creatives, none of us should be relying on any other one of us to get us into any doors. Networking is one thing, but, like, if you're going to be in a circle with people who are go-getters, you got to be able to get yourself in at some point. Because otherwise, all you're doing now is just being my entourage, or I'm just being somebody else's entourage. And I think that's where, like, if we can shift that mindset of just being okay doing things by ourselves, you can change the game.
Facts. They say action without vision is merely passing time. Vision without action is merely daydreaming. But vision and action can change the world.
Yo, facts.
So
the pastor said that the number one place to hold on to somebody's potential is the graveyard. And it's because, like, you specifically will go as far as you want to with your dreams. But if you don't push them or you don't push that needle as far as you want to, you'll die with all the potential that God gave you. And it's just going to sit there.
Damn. Well, before we get out of here, Strizz, man, we could talk forever. You know what I'm saying? But you know, before we get out of here, I want you to, you know, let the people know. Obviously, we at the top of 2025. You know, this is an amazing year, a groundbreaking year. Amongst everyone that I speak to is saying, yo, 2025, this is a year. For you, what do you have planned for this year? You know, what can people expect from you in 2025?
I feel like since I don't know what the little pieces behold, like for me, I know that September I want to throw a show for New York Fashion Week. I'm really excited for that one. It's gonna be my first like out of state push. And then I want to throw a show for Art Basel this year in Miami.
I'm gonna have to pull up to that.
Yeah, so I got a few little connects. We're gonna try and run something up.
Word.
But those like my big pieces I really want to go with, and I think this is gonna be the year that I feel like everybody always says that I do good or I do well, stepping on, you know, people's toes with my dreams, but then still making them feel included. But this year is like my year to really show y'all, like, okay, like I was inclusive for 2 years, 2023 and 2024. I was inclusive. But right now, this is my separation time period because now I know that I can do what I got to do, and I don't need anybody else. It's just me and God. So it's like at my team, of course, I'm grateful, but I'm not begging nobody to be here no more. So it's like this year is like my year to show like everything that I do is intentional, and you can either start with me or you can end watching me. You feel me? I think that's what 2025 is going to look like.
I rock with that. And where can they find you at? Where's you know, where do you want to send them to? Somebody seeing you for the first time, how can they tap in and pay attention to the Strizz lifestyle and what you got going on?
My biggest platform is Instagram, so I tell everybody, like, style.strizz. That's the name that will not change. Or at least Strizz somewhere in there. So even if I feel like I want to shift something, like, Strizz will be forever stamped. So style.strizz as of right now is, like, my main platform. That's Instagram, and it's the same on all platforms.
Word. Yeah. We appreciate you coming to join us, man.
I appreciate you for having me.
It's been a long time coming. And this is, you know, we worked with a brand called Umi Dubs, and that was the first, you know, fashion, you know, organization or people that weren't musicians that we ever worked with. And I love it, man. I love the ideology, and I'm super grateful to have you on and to be able to share a different perspective. And I feel like it all ties together, man. So hopefully everybody that watched this episode, you got some insight, you know, maybe added a little, you know, tool in the tool bag of, you know, different things that you can take with you and apply to your life. And that's it for me. I don't want to talk too much. Anything you want to leave them with before we leave?
I guess just continue to trust God in whatever you do, because that's, at the end of the day, you only got yourself, God, and the people that's right behind you. So never make the people behind you feel like you don't appreciate them, and never let God feel like you don't trust him, you know, in order for you to stay grounded and continue to stay cut different.
Facts. Definitely got to stay cut different, because if they ain't cut different, then they cut the same.
Facts. There's no pride in being regular.
No pride. Type shit, man. Hey, we appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of Cut Different TV. Make sure to hit that big red button that says subscribe under whatever screen you just watched this interview on. And make sure you join the Cut Different family, man. Click the link in the description and stay tuned for everything else we got on the way for y'all. Peace.